Good evening. I am your host, Jack Remington, of the Jack Remington Political Analyst Channel. Today's video is about voter fraud. Today's video is from LORAINE County of last week, where the poll worker took a bunch of ballots in a bag and took them to a bar to sort them out, and the camera shows it. And I'll play the video in a second here. But I'm going to play the video, read the top comments. I normally read only the top 3 comments, but I think I got 10 this time. They're pretty important to me. And some of them are kind of funny and sarcastic. They're relevant to the video. And then I'll give my breakdown on what needs to happen to keep this from happening again, and to restore faith in our elections in this country. Because right now, a lot of people don't have any faith in the elections, except the Democrats. They're just fine for them, because it benefits them. And I'll get to that during part 2. So let's watch the video. Take a look.
Well, before Election Day, this video of a poll worker bringing blank ballots inside of a bar. Surveillance video showing that worker walking away while he enjoys his lunch. The obvious question, what were those ballots doing at the bar in the first place? Well, new tonight, our Caitlin McCarthy got answers from the Board of Elections.
The Lorain County Board of Elections tells me this poll manager has been removed from his position. They say he brought those blank ballots with him while he was grabbing lunch at this bar across the street. This surveillance video captured Monday is from Madhouse Bar and Grill in Elyria. 2 men walking into the bar, one carrying large bags, then one of them, identified as a Lorain County poll manager, setting down the bags filled with blank provisional ballots at a table. The owner, James Tucker, was surprised when he saw what the bag was carrying.
After he ordered his dinner, he went over and started stuffing these bags, which we could see on them. They said ballot on it, which I'm like, whoa, that don't look right,
The Lorain County Board of Elections and the Sheriff's Office both say they began investigating immediately.
That was a great concern for us, and one of the reasons why that person is no longer in that role and has been replaced and been removed from his position.
Paul Adams is the director for the Lorain County Board of Elections. He says it is not unusual for poll workers to pick up supplies the day before the election.
We generally direct our poll workers to take those home, keep those safe.
Officials identifying the polling place manager as Mark Provenza, a former city law director.
I know they've been with us for a handful of years, certainly long enough to know better than to do something of this nature.
Adams says Provenza was waiting on a ride and left at a rideshare. The Board of Elections says none of those ballots were tampered with.
A team of Democrat and Republicans can look at those seals, make sure that none of them were opened, and confirm that all the seal numbers are the proper seal numbers.
In Lorain County, Caitlin McCarthy, 19 News.
Well, you saw for yourself. It wasn't just me telling some person here on the camera. So let's read the top comments. BS, excuses. No one should have ballots at their home for safekeeping. Quote, take them home and keep them safe, unquote. What the F? This country's in real trouble. The SOB should have been arrested and put in jail. This is getting ridiculous. No blank ballot should be at anyone's house ever. He was fired because he's too stupid to hide his crime. They'll find someone sneakier next time. That's true, they will. You want to stop it? Tack a 20-year jail sentence to it. I am a poll worker, and all the paper ballots are locked in a supplies box. They're opened by a chief poll manager on morning election day. Not taken home for safekeeping. This guy should be removed. 81 million votes last election? Probably more than 100 million votes this election expected. Aha, clever comment. He's right. Election integrity is rock solid. Every vote counts, some even count twice. Like sarcastic there. What a joke, lawless America. And then they say there's no fraud. Only the Democrats are saying that. Something needs to be done to make voting more secure. This is ridiculous. Yep, you're going to lose again, y'all. You should be arrested and questioned. One day voting in person with ID. Yes. Multiply this by 1 million and you see the state of electoral integrity in America. Yeah, 2020 was secure and not rigged at all. Yeah, it's pretty sarcastic. Priority 1, secure the election process. Jail time, that's worse than taking selfies at the Capitol. Why isn't he public enemy number 1? Yet January 6th is public enemy number 1. Most secure election ever. Yeah, my rear end, yeah. And so it begins. Anyone thinking it's not going to happen again is nuts. Removed, have criminal charges. Thank you to that bar owner. No one should be allowed to take ballot stuff home for safekeeping, not for any reason. No wonder cheating is blatant. There is no consequence when you get caught, and the rewards are significant. It's true. The stakes are high. Okay, enough of that. So now, this is part 2. Close this out. I'll make it brief. How to stop all this garbage is, number 1, get rid of the computers. Get rid of these Dominion machines that they're complaining about, fighting back and forth. It eliminates that. It also eliminates Hillary Clinton saying, the Russians hacked the machines and turned it for Trump. And Trump people, including me, said that watching the election in the middle of the night, and I'm watching Trump ahead by 174,000 votes in Michigan, and it flipped. He was losing by 174. And I said to my wife, I got up to get something to drink. I said, did you see what I saw? She saw it. Yeah, I saw it. She saw it too. And she does not like to talk politics. She doesn't like Trump. She voted for him out of necessity to save her country, but she saw it too. So it wasn't just me and her. Millions of Americans saw that. So what happened here? And they have yet to explain that. And yet there's no voter fraud. Well, anyway, it eliminates that. If you have paper ballots, you have one-day voting, no mail-in ballots, except for the exceptions I'll get to in a second here if I can remember. You get voter ID, you walk up to the counter, and the poll worker gets a big envelope. I mean, they had these big folders back then when I was working in Maryland with early 1970s. And I worked with my mother in Nevada. I stayed with my mother in Nevada in the 1980s, and I did an election there. The same thing, big binders with alphabetical name, and it goes by your street and everything else in your district. And, oh, okay, there's your name. Oh, and they line your name out. You're crossed out. She gives you a ballot. And in California, the ballots are numbered. You fill out your ballot in the booth, put it in the thing here. At the end of the day, they get zippered up. They get stored away. While I worked with my Aunt Bertha, I was getting my driver's license. She lived in LORAINE County, and she's going to work the boards, the election boards, for 35 hours a day, which is good money for her, and she was happy with that. I was a volunteer. I was to lift a heavy paper box. Those ballots were heavy, I remember that. But a young 17-year-old strong man could do that. And there were several of us that were doing it. Boxes upon boxes, and it wasn't a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand. We must have had 30,000 people come through there in one day. And by 11 o'clock at night, you could turn on to Channel 2 News, CBS in Baltimore, Maryland. You could see who won the elections. It was like at every election. One-day voting. You got in line, and the line was out the door. It was 2, 3, 4 deep down the street, and it had signs going down the block. But it was pretty orderly. It moved all the time because they were coordinated. They knew what they were doing. They hired or they volunteered good people. It was one day. No more mail-in ballots, except for if you're a service member. My father was in the Merchant Marines. I probably told the story a couple times on my videos. I'll tell it one more time. He got called out a day early to go. They were going to the Suez Canal, and they were going to get this shipment to Iran for some bullshit I forgot now. And he needed to leave a day early. And he goes, well, I want to vote for Hubert Humphrey in the 1968 election, and I wanted to beat that Republican Nixon. So, Jackie, could you ride with me and just to just hang out with my father, because he was going to go away. He was going to be gone for 6 months. So we get down to Pratt Street in Baltimore, where they used to have the election board at. Walk up the steps, and the lady wouldn't give him the ballot. And he said, I'm shipping out tomorrow. Said, tomorrow is the first day you can apply to get your absentee ballot for the military. And she wouldn't give it to him. I mean, they had rules. The window was open for so much, and that was it. And now we got an election season because the Democrats have destroyed the voting system, and the Rhino Republicans helped them. So, and he railed all the way home. But I'll get to the next election. So that was the end of that. And if you missed a bus, for those of you who use public transportation, if you miss a bus, what do? You either call Uber or you get the next bus, or you go home. Okay. This Obama thing at John Lewis's funeral. And we got to get the little girl that can't get a babysitter. We need her vote, And they're all cheering him on. It's Obama, Mr. Smartass. So, and the arrogant look on his face when he started his little speech at John Lewis's funeral. And he brought up the voting thing at John Lewis's funeral. And I have that on video. So, if you want to cross me and challenge me, I'm up to the challenge. This Bill Clinton guy was pretty slick. When he took office January 21st, 1993, one of the first things he did by executive order they had the Federal Election Commission back then get the motor voter. So when these chowderheads are switching cars, whatever, and they're always getting a wreck, or I mean, the elites don't change cars that much, but the lower classes do, and he knew that. Okay, and they picked up tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of votes across the country in every state, including red states, that way for the Democrat Party. Or you hear anybody say, get out to vote, it only benefits Democrats. It doesn't benefit Republicans. Because usually Republicans will go vote every election as their civic duty. Most Democrats don't give a shit. You know, a lot of them are not interested in civics. They just are interested in the benefits. You know, they're in halfway houses, they're in prison, they're this or that, and they're young, they party, they don't think about elections. When I was younger, I didn't think about it either. Okay, although I have never missed a presidential election. But I didn't vote in the other elections, which are really just as important. Okay, now I vote every election. When I got around, I guess 30, 32, whatever, I started voting every election. I started seeing how important it was. That's it in a nutshell, folks. To stop this Lorain County, and by the way, Gavin Newsom, my governor here in California, well, he's not my governor, but he's the governor of the state I'm living in, he's being recalled again. And I got to work the last recall election, okay? I'm getting a little ahead of myself. During my aunt's time, well, we didn't have the illegal alien problem back then either, but when you hear things over the years and things started happening, and I did work in Nevada. I stayed with my mother. She lived in Las Vegas for 40 years, and it's Clark County, Nevada, and I was there for an extended visit for something I can't talk about for my job, Department of Defense. I was a defense worker, but they got that little that Nellis Air Force Base up there, probably 12 miles north of Vegas, and I got to work there, and I was a volunteer, and my mother was a volunteer too. But there was some. That's when I first saw it, that they had the question. Some people tried to vote that weren't supposed to vote, and in those days, in the 1980s, any citizen could say, "Hey, I think this guy's trying to shank a vote here," and the sheriff will come out and then solve the problem. Okay, but you can't do that here in California. You can't do that. Okay, they've changed the laws in California. Used to have voter ID, by the way. I don't have a script here. California used to have voter ID. Well, over the years they watered it down and changed the rules, changed the laws. Through the California State Legislature was used to be solid red under Reagan and Richard Nixon, and it slowly started turning purple. Now it's blue forever. I'm gonna keep this on my video. I own this. California will never, 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 never be red ever again, because they got it locked up on the voting. They know where to get the votes at. They know each district. They got it down to a science, and it started right here in California. Okay, they know how to make sure they get reelected time after time after time. Democrats want to make sure they never lose in California, and then they want to do it the rest of the country. They want to get in power and stay in power. That's what they're all about. They don't care about you, but that's a different video for a different day. But to stop this voter fraud and this Lorain County fiasco, Gavin Newsom, I got off the track here. Gavin Newsom was being recalled, and the guy was busted for a DUI, and he had a gun, and he also had 334 unfilled ballots for the recall in the trunk of his car. And I called the Torrance Police Department, and they hung up on me. I called back, and the lady said, "We're not discussing with you. Don't call back." So I didn't call back. What am I going to do? I'm afraid you're going to take me away. I mean, we don't live in a free country anymore, folks. Wake up. You are no longer free. Yes, I'm leaving on my video, and I own this. You are no longer free. I got family members that won't sign up on my channel because they're afraid they're going to get fired at their jobs. That's how bad it is here in California. We're not free here. You've lost your freedom a long time ago when the Democrats and the Marxists took over this country. And that's a different video for a different day, too. I'll have that out. I'm bringing back my voter fraud videos. Maybe if YouTube will kick them off again, I'm going to start a locals channel and put them on there. That's what I'm going to do. I don't care if I make any money or not. I need to get the word out. That voter fraud is still a problem. Okay, and it's going to continue to be a problem as long as the Marxist Democrats are in charge. To recap, to get rid of the voter fraud, get rid of the machines, all of them. You don't need the machines. Paper ballots, voter ID. You don't have voter ID, you don't vote. You left at home, catch the next election. Can't get a ride to work, catch the next election. I am for voter holiday. Make a one-day holiday, get out and vote. That's your civic duty. And maybe we can make a push for that. Maybe that'll help out too. But the way they got this mail-in voting, That's better than the motor voter thing that Bill Clinton got in years ago, isn't it? Okay, and all the stories I'm hearing about Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, the other swing states, they would mail certain families 20 envelopes. They'd fill them all out. And, you're not allowed to question it. They've changed that. You cannot question these people and you catch them cheating. I'm working as a poll worker in California, but I resigned. I don't work anymore. So I can speak a little bit here. Okay, I saw them in the corners and they're switching stuff back and forth. We're not allowed to say anything. Okay, in the old days you could, but not now. Everything is to protect the people that's going to vote for the Democrats. I said it and I own it. I'm not changing it. I'm leaving on the video. That's how you can stop all this stuff. But guess what? Democrats have started losing 90% of the elections again, like they were in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And to a degree, the 80s. Okay, the Democrats got tired of getting their asses kicked. So Ted Kennedy and a couple of senators decided, well, we're going to start importing African people and South American people who don't give a shit about the military, don't give a shit about our country. They want the benefits, and they will vote Democrat. And they were correct, weren't they? They stopped getting Europeans. Okay, they started getting other people. And they will continue to get other people because they will vote Democrat because you won't, or I won't. So that's it. Paper ballots, get rid of the computers, voter ID, one-day voting, make it a holiday. And some countries, what do you think the penalty is in Singapore if they catch you voting illegally in the country of Singapore? It's a felony. It is a 55-year sentence, no parole. They don't have parole. They don't believe in parole in Singapore. I'm going to say it one more time so you think I'm not misspeaking here. It's a 55-year sentence. So when you commit a felony in Singapore, they make your family show up because your family will be giving you blankets and giving you food, stuff like that. Japan does that too. In Mexico, these wonderful people, right, that send their children on a company here to America to get citizenship and everything else, okay? I'm talking about 8-year-old little girls. They send them by themselves or with some man, okay? Okay, and the news don't want to talk about it that way, but that's what's going on, and you know it. So in that country of Mexico, you must have a voter ID to vote. And then you have either a fingerprint or if your finger got cut off in an industrial accident, guy's got a thumbprint. If you don't have a thumbprint, you get a toe print. For the people that lost their fingers, whatever, they got cut off in a fight with some gangster somewhere or whatever, some drug cartel cut your fingers off, but you can have a toe print. Okay, and if they catch a voter fraud, it's a felony, and it's a minimum of 10 years in the Mexican Federalist prison. They have voter ID. How come America can't have that? Well, we know why. Because one party wants to stay in power. One party would have been dissolved in the 1970s had they not got rid of Nixon in that coup. And that's what they call the silent coup. That Watergate that was a sham, but that's a different video for a different day. But they had to take down Nixon because they were getting their asses kicked from top to bottom. You got to remember Nixon had the very first landslide in American history in presidential politics. He beat McGovern so bad. McGovern barely won his own home state. He won one state. Okay. And then you're going to try to tell me they were spying on that? Did they beat him 49 states to 1? Really? But I'll explain that in my next video. Oh, and the curing of the ballots. They need a uniform. They need to get that Federal Election Commission back where you just can't cure a ballot. I mean, they're curing the people that they're working at these poll booths. And it happened where I was working at here in California. If you vote for the candidate they wanted to see win, they cured that and they counted it. Well, in the old days, they couldn't do that. Both teams have people that see it and they have to agree on it. If not, they get set to the side. Then the election commission at your county level, at your county seat level, decides if it gets put forward, gets sent to your city, your capital state, like ours in Sacramento, it gets sent up there, and they have a commission that decides then too. If you got Joe Biden on it, they fixed it. That Donald Trump got discarded. Okay, I saw that myself. So when they tell me that you don't know what you're talking about election. I worked many elections in 3 different states. Okay, so I seen it. Okay, and I know, and I got videos on my other hard drive where in Texas, the black guys got all Trump in the trash can, and he bragged about it. Nothing happened to him. He got off with a warning. Okay, in Austin, Texas. Until they get this voting system figured out in this country, the country's gone. Okay, the last bastion this country has of keeping a constitutional republic is our voting system. Okay, that's your right. And it's granted to you by the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Thank you. Hope you understood the video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Have a good day.